Hello everybody, nice to have you here. I want to talk today about one of the features that Adobe Commerce Cloud released with Adobe Commerce 247, and to be more precise, it's called GraphQL Application Server. Basically, it was released with 247 release, like a new add-on to all your Adobe Commerce Cloud systems that allow you to release additional GraphQL application server that will serve all requests that's going to the GraphQL of your Adobe Commerce system. And that will allow you to speed up the whole processes which are related to the GraphQL APIs. So how can you use it? It's technically quite easy. Let's reference to the official documentation. For that, you need to align a bit your code structure, and if go to the more details, so for example, as we are on Adobe Commerce Cloud, we need to make some modification in YAML files. But if follow, let's say, one by one step, the one of the requirement is deploy Adobe Commerce on cloud infrastructure using cloud template from 247 app server branch. If your environment been just provisioned, that's quite okay, because you will have this branch available, and then you can just go to the files and uncomment required sections. That's what's then written here next, like what to uncomment, what to add, and I'll not go into details. You can just follow this documentation, quite sufficient. But if you'll go to existing environment, you may be quite surprised because you will not see those sections there. So you always need to compare it with original Magento Cloud tag, which includes here the app server, and then it's contained a bunch of the files which basically will tell you what to comment and what to uncomment. And yeah, it's written here and it's quite easy, so you can just check what's have to be uncommented. So it's additional command to start application server on every deployment process, and then you're removing these locations so the application is served correctly. That's one of the changes. Another one that you may have, you need to have additional routing for the GraphQL request. So the GraphQL is going to another server and not going to your standard MyMagento HTTP. So it has to be served by another server. Here nothing changed. So yeah, you can also adjust settings of your engines config sample file. And yes, additional file you will have, the whole folder here called application server, and if you go inside, you see there have the start command which starts in the server. You have custom engines configuration, you can align or you can leave it as a sample, and you also have a custom app YAML file. So if you remove the sample in the end, as you can guess, then it will use this one. So you can also then align deployment process for application server. So how they achieved it, they used the Swally plugin for PHP. And why it's faster? It's faster because usually when you're using the PHP and you send a request to the PHP have to bootstrap the whole configuration for every request you're sending. So it's taking some time. Yes, it's not like very notable for end user, but it's doing it with an error request. What allow the GraphQL application server, it's allowed to persist the state between the request. So by using this PHP Swally plugin, you can persist the state of bootstrapped application between the requests, which makes the execution and processing is much faster. So it's approximately 30% faster as claim the official documentation, and then I will show you like what is in reality there. And yeah, that's how it works. So technically, the deployment process starts. It's roll out 2 servers now, not one. One of them serving the Magento application, another one is serving GraphQL request. So also Magento application, but with GraphQL for GraphQL processing. All other is the same. So there's the same database, the same application, the same infrastructure. So you don't need to worry about it. It's more like you need to align your deployment process to make it work. And one more very important point is that you have to create a support ticket to activate it. I had a lot of troubles with that because first, when they just released, this node was not here. Now it's appeared. It was somewhere already forget where, but it was somewhere. So here. you must submit an Adobe Commerce support ticket to enable application server, and you must submit it the same as when you submit an, let's say, update of the services in advance, because they need to know that they need to activate it. You need to define the time in a best case, especially if you do it in production environment, that your production is not going down. Because if you will apply configuration and then deploy without activating server, deployment must probably pass, but the /GraphQL will be down, means if your website is in a headless mode, it will not function. Yeah, and after we deploy it and support enable the application itself, you can just use it. I mean, you don't need to change anything from the front-end perspective. Everything stays like it is. Yeah. If follow documentation, I made it only on a cloud infrastructure because I have only cloud projects. It also can be done for pro projects. It also can be done for starter projects. So technically, yeah, environments which are not productive. Like honestly, I don't have a starter projects anymore because, as I know, it's not part of Adobe Commerce Cloud anymore. But there are still projects which use, let's say, old starter packs. And also I have several sandbox environment which more or less under the starter infrastructure. And that's it. So it was quite easy. So what you'll get as a result, I can show you. So that's one of the releases we had in the end of summer, more or less. And that's a request, like an average transaction time execution. That's screenshot from New Relic. And yeah, as you can see, the drop-off was quite big. Basically, it's not a 30%, it's like twice faster. I guess also depends on what you call it, because if the PHP operation itself very fast, then the difference will be much better than when your PHP processing time is high, then this bootstrapping time will take just a small part of it. But that was for us, and that's quite visible improve. I guess I have somewhere another diagram, so that's showing that it's used only for the GraphQL processing, because it's in a headless project, and yeah, you can see that's time consumed by top web transaction. So that's not average, but it's massive. I mean, the performance is quite good here. And last but not least, if you will now try to SSH to your cloud environment, it will ask you to choose the application you want to go. So it can be application server or BuyMeACoffee or your main application. So you can SSH to them separately, which also calls that you have a different locations where you will be landed. I guess that's it. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you tried and had your own experience also, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll engage you. Not forget to subscribe and like the video if you liked it, or leave the comment if you have any comments. And we see each other in the next videos. Bye bye.